What do you do when God closes the door on something good that you had in your heart to do for Him? You had a great idea, and good and godly people gave you encouragement to press forward with it. You felt sure, now if I do this, this will really be for the glory of God. But very simply, it didn't work out. And as if that was not bad enough, someone else is doing exactly what you hoped you might do, and it's a little difficult for you when you see that God is blessing them with such great success. Or you train for a particular career, but after all that you have invested in this preparation and in this training, for some reason that you cannot explain, the door simply does not open up for you. You have asked God to open the way, and it remains a mystery. For some reason, the door to what you thought was your path turns out to be closed. As years pass, it may be some have the experience of looking back wistfully on what might have been. There were certain aspirations in earlier years that were in your heart, but as time goes on, they seem to be getting further away. And you wonder, why did God close the door on good things that were in my heart? You wanted to marry, you wanted to have children, you wanted to reach a certain place in your career, you wanted to gain a place on a particular team, perhaps, or to succeed in some particular area or sphere of ministry. And the hard thing is that God has given this blessing to others. Why did He not give that blessing to you? Now, the obvious question is, why did God say no? And it's a real question when God says no to something good that you want to do. Why did God say no? We don't find it easy to live with the mystery of God's providence. This is important because when something good is on your heart, and the door closes, you may very well find, well, it must be that I've done something wrong. That may be your first instinct. And you may feel that God somehow has it in for you, that He doesn't love you after all, that He's closed the door on something good that you wanted to offer to Him. Why did God give the blessing, the opportunity, and the work that you would have loved to do? And He gave it to someone else. And how will you respond when what you would really like to do turns out not to be God's plan for you? When God says no, when something that's in your heart proves not to be the door that He opens for you, your faith is going to be tested. What to you may be a great disappointment in your life may actually open the way for something greater that God is calling you to do. But we dare not hold on to, I want to do this for you, O Lord, when He's saying to you, well, I actually want you to give me something else. In all the joy of what you get to do for Jesus, don't let your joy lie in what you do for Jesus. Let your joy lie in what Jesus does for you. Otherwise, you will be distraught when disappointment comes. And when He closes a door that you thought He would open.
We love open doors, but we don't like closed doors. But what do we do with closed doors? We've got to trust God with those closed doors. So what do we do when we get to this place where God closes a door? When there's the breakup, when something you thought your future was going to be this, and it didn't happen like that. What do? We trust Him. And we keep walking in faith and saying, Lord, this isn't how I wanted it. This isn't how I planned on it. This isn't what I thought would be, but I'm going to trust you with this. Because here's the deal. You and I don't know why, and we don't know what's next. We don't know why, and we don't know what's next, but God does. And if we'll trust Him to be our shepherd, then He'll lead us, and we can trust Him even when things don't go real well for us.
When someone closes a door in your face, all you have to remember is when God allows them to close the door in your face, all God wants you to do is walk up the hall. It's some more doors. You just got to walk up the hall. Because I can promise you, he got a better door that he wants you to go through than the one that got shut in your face. That's a fact. That's a fact. But what happened to people is they stand there beating on the door. The door is closed for a reason. Because God just wants you to walk up the hall because he got another door. It's bigger, and when you open it and get behind it, you ain't gonna believe what's back there. But you will never get to it if you stand in front of that door crying. God is the creator of all doors, man. I'm just gonna see what else he got for me. I don't even worry about that.
Sometimes God shuts a door for my protection. And you think it's a bad thing that you lost your job or something went sideways. But God shuts a door sometimes for your protection. It doesn't feel good, but it's for your protection. You might have gotten fired, but you don't know why you got fired, and it doesn't even make sense. But God had a bigger plan. But God knows how to shut doors to protect you, and God knows how to open doors to bless you. Sometimes God removes a harmful person from your life for your protection, because God has a bigger plan, a better idea, and a greater door for your life. He often shuts a door for your protection.
In the walk of faith, there is a sound that is impossible for us to get used to. It often comes abruptly, and it always happens surprisingly. It's inaudible, but it is powerful. And most of us can name specific places and times in our lives when we heard that sound. And I'm referring to the sound that occurs when God closes a door. Now, the thing that makes it so difficult is that we usually misinterpret that sound. It often comes on the heels of strong commitment to obedience, being filled with the Spirit, going through a season of prayer, often over weeks of time, followed by hard work, diligent effort, the counsel of others, and then slam, that door shuts. And to make it even more difficult is that following the closing of the door, there is silence, deafening silence, God's silence. Where are you, God? Times like that, we are humbly reminded that He is the potter and we are the clay. He is the master and we are the servant. We say we willingly bow before Him, that He is our God and He is our guide, O great Jehovah. I'm just a pilgrim in a barren land. And I'm moving toward the goal of honoring you and serving you. And now this. To make it even more difficult, God does not tell us why. Certainly not then. God rarely, if ever, explains why. One thing is for sure, when that door closes, we do not think at that moment, this is going to lead me to something better. The Scottish essayist Thomas Carlyle, 19th century writer, essayist, historian, put it this way: when the oak tree is felled, the whole forest echoes with it, but 100 acorns are planted silently by some unnoticed breeze. When the door slams in our face, we don't think that poetically. All we can hear is the falling of our oak and the thud as it hits the forest, destroying our dream, our hope, our anticipation. We don't think at that moment that there are some acorns being whisked away and blown to a place that will grow and bear fruit for God's glory through an open door. At a time like this, when the door closes, and some of you have had one close recently, that's when great theology needs to kick in and true great truths come to our rescue. The first truth is that God is sovereign. Daniel 4:35, all the inhabitants of the earth are as nothing, and he does according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and no one can ward off his hand or say to him, what are you doing? The psalmist put it this way in 115:3, our God is in the heavens, he does whatever he pleases. Sort of point blank, in your face, I'm in charge. The other great truth is that God's plan is profound and often to us very strange. Revelation 3:7 tells us, he is the one who opens and no one closes. He closes and no one opens. And there's no explanation following that statement. You feel like a failure. You feel like you were poor in planning. You weren't sensitive to the Holy Spirit. None of the above is true. God closed the door. But we're not ready to understand closed doors. We like open doors, especially when we're not told why they closed. Remember, God is sovereign and God's plan is profound and often so strange. Get on past the closed doors. There's something great to be reaped by going to the open ones. Since God is sovereign, he is in full control on both sides of any door. Being in full control, God takes full responsibility for the results. The closing of a good opportunity occurs in order to lead us to an even better one. Not until you walk through the open door and look back do you realize the necessity of the other doors being closed. I have no idea what closed doors you are living with. For all I know, you are going through self-loathing and blame. Or even worse, you may be blaming someone else because a door closed. Because I don't know which one to speak to directly, I speak to all of you and say, let it be. Let the oak fall. Let the acorns scatter. God moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. He plants his footstep on the sea and rides upon the storm. Deep in unfathomable minds of never-failing skill, he treasures up his bright design and works his sovereign will. Let it be.